2, actually part 1, but I did introduction and it got cut off. My battery went dead. I should have plugged it in. I didn't think of that. Me. I don't think fast. I think slow. I think far ahead. I plan ahead, but that's usually 20 years down the road, so I can't do a lot of on the job, on the spot thinking. Okay, what we have here is a failure to communicate. No. Okay, so I was talking about. There's that one time I was talking to Tom, my boss. I was referring to Tom, owner of a steel plant that I worked out, steel shop. We built buildings. It was a steel erection business, welding and shipping buildings out. The biggest one we did was Bass Pro in Manteca, California. Stuff went out of there looking like something designed by a metal sculptor with on drugs and LSD and marijuana all combined. Plates sticking out of it looked like Stegosaurus. Some have 500 pounds of welding wire on it. But anyway, my point is that I've had probably 300 jobs in my life. We tried to stay out of the system. So I did construction work. I did ship handling, dock work, loading and unloading semis. I've done construction of various kinds, bricklayer, hod carrier for a bricklayer and a stonemason, and construction, metal work, roofing, siding, carpentry, janitorial work, road carpet cleaning, you name it. About 300 jobs over my span of my life, probably more than that. I would say to take an NSA computer to track my job history. Anyway, my point is this: Tom, owner of the best place I ever worked for in my entire life. I'll kid you not. All those 300 jobs none of them hold a candle to this thing, these people. They were awesome. They made breakfast for us. They had lunch for us. I mean, custom cooked, chef quality food. And you could eat as much as you wanted, pretty much. Anyway, my point is this. This is a Mormon company. Awesome. The reason why we're here in Missouri, that's what got us here, is Mormons, which did cob houses and community, all things in common community. I wanted a community, somebody to work with my midwife, my middle wife. I wish it was my middle wife. Anyway, it might be my middle wife. Okay, so anyway, and cob houses, midwifery, middle wife polygamy, and just other things. I just mentioned one, but I can't remember it now. Anyway, so I was talking to Tom several times, and he would say, "Jerry, my entire life, I thought the only good people in the world were our people. Then I met your family." My point being in saying that is that he's going about Ian and Susie, my 2 children that he knew had been spent time with. Ian became best friends with one of the Mormon kids and started his own company, Double Diamond Builders. And one time I said, "Tommy, Ian's been a really good friend for you." And Tommy said, "No, he's my best friend. Ian is my best friend." So that was really cool. All right, so my point is that, your life is your message. You're preaching through your life. If you have words, if you're always constantly talking and witnessing to people and blah, blah, saying this and saying that, and your words don't back up, your life doesn't back up your words are empty. You're an empty gong and a clanging cymbal. Read 1 Corinthians 13. If you can't show love, you have no love in your heart. You have no witness in your life. I knew a guy in Colorado that could tell you everything that's wrong with Mormonism. He could tell you that, their doctrinal points, their science points, everything. I never once felt the slightest shred of love from him for them. I felt nothing but hatred and anger. And I'm like, what good is that going to do anybody to hear somebody telling them how bad they are, how wrong they are, how evil they are? Not going to help them come to Jesus, I'm telling you. Love is the only thing that's going to bring us through this, people. And I see people come here. There's another introduction, sorry. I see people come here, and for the life of me, I can't find someone that cares about anybody but themselves. That's not a good thing. I mean, I've been doing this for 40 years now, buying things to help other people stay alive. I'm buying sprayers and chainsaws and stuff to help keep people alive, to build shelter for them. I've done everything that I can possibly do, even for people that are here not being thankful, not being grateful, not doing a single thing for me, not spending a single nickel on me. and it's just very irritating to see it. I just got to let it go, and Lord, you're in control. Father's the one in control of this whole thing, and I just turned everything of mine over to Him, and it's in His hands. I don't own anything; He owns it all. If someone wants to steal from me, quote unquote, they're stealing not from me, but from God, from my ministry, from the ministry here, and He can do whatever He wants with them. He can pay it back to me some other way, or He can, charge them for it, deduct it from their account. I believe in the sovereignty of God. He can do whatever He wants to do. He can have angels do whatever He wants to do. Take their vehicle away from them, take their life away from them, whatever He requires of them. So, okay, chapter 13. Getting a point breakdown. That's one I looked up. By Wednesday, things had settled down somewhat in the little town of Centerville. The Centerville Bank reopened that morning. A town meeting had been called on Tuesday night down at the high school gymnasium, and the place had been packed, Daniel's mother had said. The news had been grim at first. The bank president had said that the government insurance programs, FDIC, had failed since a record number of banks were in trouble. There just wasn't enough money to cover nearly all the banks in the country. Mr. Cutright had announced that Goliath Industries had bought the local bank. Each depositor would lose a small percentage of his money, but even with the losses, the townspeople had cheered for 15 minutes. Losing a little money was much better than losing all of it. Mr. Cutright had then announced that there would be even more job positions opening at the factory than first anticipated. The crowd had cheered again. Many people had lost their jobs in the past 2 days. Now I got to stop. I'm sorry, I'm going to make another comment here. Kind of along the same subject. During the Depression, this is a fact. Look it up yourself. Do your own research. Don't just take my word for it. Do your own research on the Great Depression. We're heading into another one. It's going to be far worse. During the Great Depression, there were 3,000 local currencies in operation. To this day, there's some that are still doing that. Berkshire. The Berkshire is a money printed in Massachusetts, Berkshire, Massachusetts, I believe it is, by the local banks, local currency. Last time I checked, they had like $3 million of local currency in operation. Local businesses would honor it, and they look like official. Berkshire. They look like 20s, 100s, 50s, 20s, and 10s, and 5s and 1s. I think they had all those denominations covered. But the point is that local businesses could take out a loan from a bank for $5,000, small business loan. They've done hundreds of these loans, and not one single business had bellied up on it, had not succeeded. One lady bought a loom for like 20 grand or something like that, and did so well, she bought a second one for a friend of hers. So she has a friend working for her now doing the same thing. I got to support my back, so I'm not quite so bad off. But anyway, so Berkshires, look them up. It started because the local newspaper editor during the Depression went, wow, I need to do something about money. So he printed his own money. People paid for their advertising with his money, and businesses used it. People honored it. They trusted that man more than they trusted the federal government. That will happen again, I guarantee you. When this blows up in your face, it's going to blow up in your face, and not so much my face, but it's going to blow up in your face. It's going to affect me, sure. But if you've got money in the bank, you better get it out and do something with it. If you got gold and silver, you're going to throw it out in the streets. I guarantee you. You got gold and silver, you're an idiot, unless you're doing something with it. Okay, so I was given a monster box of silver, 25 rolls of silver dollars. It's all gone. Don't come look at me for it. I spent it all, every bit of it. I spent as much as I could with a person that I trusted. I tithed on it, $1,000 to someone at the time. I tried 1/10 of it. 2.5 rolls of silver to one source, one person. Had a ministry very similar to mine. Take care of family, take care of a small community, take care of a large community. Buy one piece of land for family, buy another piece of land for community, buy another piece of land for a whole bunch of people. So my vision is just a little bit bigger. Just so everybody knows, my vision is 120-mile radius around the center of Springfield, Missouri. That's my island, and it's going to be an island. Okay, I'm just saying that. FYI. Going to be surrounded by water, except on the northwest. A little corridor up to the northwest, but the only corridor open. Look at Stan Dale's Earth Changes map, future map of the United States on Disaster Girl website. Look at it. Navy map, U.S. Navy map. Speaking of U.S. Navy, there's a Preparedness Expo, Ozark Homestead Expo coming up in August. this next month, about the 20th, somewhere around there. Look it up. Ozark Homestead Expo. There are 7 Navy admirals in that town. Retired SEALs, Navy, Green Beret, generals, whatever. I want to get there. I think I'm maybe a speaker there. I think the dream that I had some time ago about, you know, being in a meeting with about 1,000 people, and they made the announcement. There's going to be a special guest speaker, surprise speaker. And I looked around, I wonder who that is. And they said Jerry Diamond. I set up to bug out. I'm out of here. I'm out of here. I got to get out of here. And behind me was standing 4 big burly guys, taller than me, bigger than me, with their arms crossed, smiling and shaking their head. No, no. And a fifth one took me by the shoulders and put his hands on my shoulders and walked me to the front to the podium. So I don't know. It might be this meeting. I don't know. Who knows? I don't really care. I'm not trying to toot my own horn. I just saying I had that dream. It was so real, so weird, so real. I drove there. I did. I knew I did. I know I drove there. I did not fly there. So where it's going to be, I don't know. If it's going to happen, I don't know. I'm just saying I had that dream, and it would fit the bill here. And it happened before to me. One time I went to a meeting. There's going to be a guest speaker here that's prepared in this meeting. There's going to be a guest speaker. And I get there and I'm like, who's the guest speaker? You are. Oh, thanks a lot for telling me. And it was a really good meeting. It was awesome. So anyway, and then another time I was a speaker for the solution for the video that they watched. The video was Major Ed Dames on remote military grade remote viewing, talking about the coronal mass ejection sequence, kill shot scenario they call it. Series of coronal mass ejection, which we had just one last week. I was laying out my hammock chair. I got to thinking, my mind really got going. The wind can't kick it up. I went, kick it up more, and my mind got more and more active, and the wind got stronger and stronger. And I thought I'd like to have a lightning strike within a mile of here. And I said, looked up, there's not a cloud in the sky. Give me a cloud and a lightning strike. No. Oh, okay, the lightning strike can come right from the sun. I'm thinking electricity, lightning strike from the sun. And I got up, went and called my friend in Arkansas, and he said, hey, we're under a serious coronal mass ejection site attack. Solar flares, major solar flares. Well, solar flare could shut the whole country down, shut the whole world down, whatever was facing it. So I told him, I was just thinking about having a electrical attack from the sun, electrical bolt from the sun. I get up and talk to him, and boom, that happened. Okay, so shut up, Gary. I'm sorry. So my point is what? I don't know. Bunny Trail. Where's Timothy when you need him? Pause. Think backwards. I was reading that somewhere in the book. Oh yeah, business denominations, not demonetizations. Denominations of money. The Great Depression, there were 3,000 local currencies. One of them was Berkshire because of the newspaper editor. I have told people here local, one of them being the owners of the Mormon steel plant that I worked for. I said, look, you guys should start printing your own money now. Get used to it. You can do it. You have currency with people. People trust these men. There's a man here that people trust. He feeds a lot of people. You could have your own currency. Get used to it. Do it. Figure out some means of exchange. I think buying copper bars. They make copper coins, copper like the size of silver dollars, 50-cent pieces, nickels, quarters, dimes, pennies. Get copper coins and just say this one is $10. This one's $20. This one's $20. This one's $10. This one's $5. This one's $1. And this one, the dime size one's maybe 50 cents. Anyway, that's a thought in my mind because why not? They're cheap to buy that stuff right now, and it could be used as currency, a substitute for a $10 bill. Now, the best thing is to have a $10 bill and have it backed by gold, but nobody's got that much gold around handy right now. Could in the near future. Okay, so there are people that have exhibited over the period of years, long period of years, that you can trust them to do what they say. Their word is good. And I've experienced the opposite of that locally here with people that I brought in here. Their word is not worth a fucking plug nickel. Pardon my French. One guy made a deal with me and then broke it within a week or two. Broke it again, broke it a third time. And his word doesn't mean anything. You can convince yourself of anything. You can lie to yourself all you want. God knows the truth. And anybody, I've had several people locally here lying to me on a regular basis. Why can't you just tell the truth? What's so hard about telling the truth? What's so hard about speaking truth? No, can't do it. It just seems incapable. More and more people are becoming dishonest. They prefer to lie as a first course of action rather than say, well, let me see, well, maybe I should tell the truth. Nope, they just lie. Not good. 8-year-old girl knows it. This person is a liar. This person's a liar. They lied to me. Well, it's a very sad comment, but okay. Local currency. Get ready to have local businesses. Develop some kind of skill or something that you have, or figure out a way you can do it. There's all kinds of things that are trash right now that will be like liquid gold. Um, 2 liter pop bottles. If you can come here with a semi-load of 2 liter pop bottles, I'll kiss your butt. I mean, I'll shake your hand, pat you on the back, give you a hug. I'll pay you. You know, um, those are worth. I'm not going to go into what they can do with them, but there's a million things to do with them. Probably 100,000 anyway. All right, shut up. Enough talking. All right. Losing a little money was much better than losing all of it. Mr. Cutright then announced that there would be more job opening positions opening at the factory than first anticipated. That's going to happen locally. The crowd had cheered again. Many people had lost their jobs in the past 2 days. Though Happy Toy Store had been closed on Monday and Tuesday, the doors were open on Wednesday morning. The other stores in town had opened too. The big supermarket had been packed. Daniel went early in the morning with his mother. People zoomed down the aisles, throwing food into their shopping carts in a frenzy. Like most everyone else in town, they bought 3 times the normal amount of groceries. Read lights out, or listen to me read lights out to you. I read the whole book, 248 videos, people. One lady smoked through them in like 3 days. I said, pace yourself, don't lose sleep over it. I think she lost some sleep. Belly Acres. Shout out to Belly Acres. Look them up. Her name is Jill, I think. Yeah, Jill. Pretty sure. All right. Listen to me read lights out. Could be a coronal mass ejection, but it was a high altitude EMP bomb, which set up by Koreans or somebody. No, Arab. All right. People zoomed down the aisles. Like most everyone, they bought 3 times the amount of groceries, especially canned goods. Some people complained that Mrs. Fairfax, the manager of the store, had raised the prices on nearly every item in the store. What the hell do you think? She also demanded cash. No checks or credit cards were accepted. Yet, a lot of people were complaining at her office, Daniel noticed. But Mrs. Fairfax, a large, red-faced woman, told them if they didn't like it, they could buy their food elsewhere. Most people went away grumbling, but they still bought their food first. They might have wine, but they bought their food. Okay, so another lesson, life lesson here. This is going to be a long video if I keep this up. During Germany, the German Depression, 1934. And I'll preface this with a story about how I learned this. There's a restaurant in West Denver. It was kind of a patriot hangout. Patriot and weird people hangout. And my son and I were there on a carpet job. We went in. We had having breakfast, and we were sitting at a booth. And right across from the booth was the counter where people were sitting at the counter on high stools, little swivel stools. And 2 guys were talking, and they were talking loud enough I could hear them. At that time, I still had hearing. And the guy was talking about DIA and investments in DIA, Denver International Airport. I was like, yuck. Talking about gold and stuff. And a couple times I made a comment across the aisle to him. And, he heard me. He understood. When his friend left, he came over and sat down on the opposite side of the booth from me and my son. And, no, he sat next to my son. My son was on the other side of the table. And he told us how, he told about 2 brothers that he knew that had millions of dollars in gold. Had it in like 4-inch heavy PVC pipe in their cars. Anyway, he said that, if you go to Canada, drive directly to Canada, you can get a 10% discount on Canadian gold maple leaves if you buy $250,000 at a time. I was like, hey, Ian, let's go. What are we waiting for? Let's go. Ha ha ha. $250,000. I didn't have 2 nickels to rub together. So anyway, that was, doggone it, fiddly-dee Millie. I'll do a test of the new phone, the brand new phone. The POS crappy-ass brand new phone. Pretty sure the microphone is screwed up on this, so I'm going to record some here so I can tell. Blah 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 blah. If that thing can hear it, if you can hear me on this one, this one should pick me up just fine, right? Being brand new, yeah. Okay, I am tired. I can go to sleep right now, sitting right here. My back's doing pretty good, so that may get me to talk longer. I could also pass out right now. Gotcha. No, I could. Oh no, not again. Rewind. I try to bring Timothy with me to that just because I speak at that expo. I got to bring him with me so I can remember stuff. Shit. I have CRS. It's can't remember shit syndrome. CRS syndrome. Can't remember shit. Mormons, groceries, prepping, prepping groceries. Somebody did prepping and groceries. Let me go to here. Lights out, business, buy the food elsewhere. That's close. Most people went away grumbling, but they still bought their food first. Ah, Denver. I don't know what the name of the restaurant was, but it was in West Denver, about West 38th Avenue, almost to Golden or something like that. Remember, it was way to west in Lakewood. Anyway, so this guy sits down at the booth with us and he's talking to us and he's telling us you can go to Canada and get a 10% discount if you buy $250,000 at a time of gold maple leaves. And he invested in gold. He believed in gold. He had a lot of gold. He didn't tell me how much. I remember one time a fireman had gold and he's walking around Elitch's, no, yeah, Elitch's Park, out in the park there, flicking a gold coin up in the air, shiny, brand new, and he liked the clink, the twinkle it made, pretty sound it made when he dropped it. Holy crap! I mean, you want to end your life really quick? That's a good way to do it. So anyway, some people aren't that smart. Maybe he wanted to die. I don't know. Anyway, gold. What is gold worth? Not much. If you're starving, gold's not worth much. If you can't buy food with it, what good is it? Let me tell you this. This guy told me this, and he said during the Depression in Germany, when the mark was, you went to the store with a whole shopping cart full of money to buy a loaf of bread and milk and stuff. It was so devalued. It was such hard times. So, and that's why Hitler was able to take over, help the economy. Trump will take over someday because of that. Okay, so don't get off on bunny trails. I got off on bunny trail already. Okay, so people would go and buy milk in the morning, and by afternoon, the glass jar that they got milk in and drank the milk was worth more than the milk they had paid for the milk. The empty jar was worth more in the afternoon than the full jar was worth in the morning. Okay. Now I feel the same way. I mean, 2-liter pop bottles, oh my gosh, worth so much more than pop. Whatever you pay for them, they're free. You can make light bulbs out of them. You can make, weapons out of them. I have so many hydroponic systems. You can grow herbs and healing herbs with them. There's a million things. You can make an air tank with them. They hold a lot of 150 pounds pressure before they blow up. Okay, a lot of things like that. Okay, so here's what he said. People would come out of the cities, walk out to the farms on foot with gold in their hands, and they would go walk up to the farm and knock on the door and offer to buy food with gold. And they were sent on down the road. And he said 3 times, the garden was worth more than the gold. The garden was worth more than the gold. The garden was worth more than the gold. This man to me was an angel. He was a messenger. He was a messenger from God. It's in my book. I mean, I've written about it. I've talked about it 1,000 times over the years. The garden was more than the gold. When Joseph in Egypt knew that there was going to be a famine, they're going to have 7 years of plenty to prepare for 7 years of hard times. What did he do? Did he store up gold and silver? No, he stored up food. Get it through your head, dumbasses. Get it through your head. Food is money. Food is wealth. Food is gold. Food is oil. Food is gas. Food is gold. It's silver. It's salt. Store up food. Store up the ability to grow food. Better yet. Storage food is not worth much. Not worth much at all. You got to be able to grow it. You got to have it growing. Meat on the hoof and crops in the ground is my motto. Relocate your family. You better do it now before the empires fall. We'll learn to grow a garden worth more than lifeless gold. We'll build our new communities, our new borders hold. It's just time to settle in, be trusted, learn the ropes. We must grow our food if we're to live our hopes. Okay, so set up. All right, so get food, get the ability to grow food, seeds, knowledge. Simple. You got to be brain dead simple, and shoestring budget. Shoestring budget and brain dead simple. Think outside the box. Well, right, okay. When will all this stuff get better? Daniel asked his mother as they unpacked the groceries that morning. Well, right now, no one seems to know for sure, Mrs. Bailey replied. Her face looked tired. Nothing like this has ever happened in our country before. We had at least one big depression before, but they say this is a much more complicated situation. Everyone thought the government was more prepared, and it doesn't help that so many little countries are at war. I don't know when it will get better, but at least I have a good job. Oh. Money is your god, lady. Gotta make this where I could set it down. Not have it spill. There you go. Okay. Now I want the lid on it. Save me time. Okay. Yeah. I have a good job for the most evil company in the world. The New World Order Company. I just hope you don't lose it, Daniel said. Don't worry. They like me, Goliath, Mrs. Bailey said. I don't intend to mess up a good situation. Daniel wondered what would happen if his mother did lose her job. The more he thought about it, the less he wanted to know the answer. Soccer practice resumed Wednesday evening. Daniel was curious to see the other guys on the team. They seemed just as serious as their parents. They either talked about the changes that had taken place in the town or in the world, but more importantly, they talked about how the sudden changes in the point system. Mike Weaver's dad lost his job yesterday, and Mike dropped down 234 points ranked places, Barry Smedlow said. Mike was one of the boys on the Rockets team. Mike wasn't sure how many points he had lost in the deal, but the whole thing looks like real bad for him. The big board is still operating, Daniel asked as he walked up to the other boys. Are you kidding? Barry asked. The toy store has just been packed. Today was the first time you could get a complete point breakdown sheet. They're great. With a point breakdown, you can see where each point fits into what they call your personal point profile. Everything is right there in black and white, your strong areas and weak ones. But point breakdowns cost $1, Alvin complained. My mom has cut off my allowance. She says we have to tighten our belts. She thinks we're all headed for a real hard time with all the problems in the government. I just wish the combo gizmos would do point breakdown printout sheets, Jerry said sadly. I can make a fortune. 2/3 of the kids at the toy store were buying point breakdowns. I don't blame them either. Big changes have been happening on the big board since the bank closed and reopened. Luckily, I'm still solid as number one, and the rest of the guys in the club are solid too. But the way things are changing, I don't know how long that will last. Barry is number one. He thinks he's number one. He knows he's number one. Comments. If you are living your life in such a way that you think you're number one, you're a fool and you're going to lose. You're not going to be number one. Jesus said, he that is first shall be last, and he that is last shall be first. You don't walk into a dinner and sit at the front of the table. Like that dream I had, when I heard I was a speaker, I said, got to leave, Nope, sorry, you're not leaving, big burly guys. Anyway, number one. So everybody around me they're number one in their life. They're the only person I care about. I see no evidence of anybody here in this local community caring about anybody except for themselves. And that is very, very sad. Everything that they have in their car or in their truck or in their possession is theirs, and they'll probably kill to keep it. So, and they're not opposed to stealing other people's stuff. That's not good. So they're selfish. Selfishness is rampant here. It's disgusting. Sickens me. I'm still watching for the newest guy to see some evidence of some kind of concern for somebody other than himself. Ain't seen it. Not a lick of evidence of it. Very sad. My dad was talking about moving to another town, Doug Barnes said. He looked worried. He may lose his job in Kirksville. The company he works for is in trouble. He went out to the new Goliath factory to check up on jobs this afternoon. He said, we're lucky they came to town. Oh, yeah. That's the truth, Barry replied. My dad says big industry and government jobs are the most secure. He should know since he's school principal. He says a lot of changes are coming. That's why it's important to be up in rank in the point system. What about your super summer party? Alvin asked. Are you still planning on having it? Of course, Barry replied. And that's going to be the only party in town that night. I've even got a plan that's going to make it a sure thing. What about the party at the town pool? Daniel asked. There won't be one, Barry said and smiled. Just then Coach Goober came over. He was dressed in his gym shorts and was carrying a clipboard. Gorilla Goober. Listen up, he yelled, and then blew his whistle. The people running the Goliath Sports League want you to know that even though there's been a few upsets around town the last few days and all, the league is still on schedule. The boys all cheered. The coach blew his whistle to get their attention. Daniel waited patiently. Now I know things look bad on TV and the world situation and all, Coach Goober began. He frowned as he looked like he had until he looked like he had one big eyebrow. But this is still a great country with a lot of fighting spirit, even in tough times. Like I said on the first day, it's survival of the fittest. I want to see you guys playing like it's survival of the fittest. A lot of kids are trying to make superstars, but there will be only 2 superstar teams, one boy and one girl. Will you be on one of those teams? Yes, the boys screamed back. Oh, the girl team, huh? Now let's get out there and see some ball control, some more offense, and better defense. Do you hear me? Yes, I yelled. This time Daniel yelled just as loud as the rest of the guys. I could use more light. After a grueling practice, Barry called a meeting of the Cobra Club over at his house. Daniel's mother was right there and accepted the invitation for Daniel. But he would have gone anyway, he decided, as he rode his Super Wings bicycle over to the big house. He felt only a twinge of betrayal as he rode the new 10-speed. He thought of going home together with Spirit Flyer, but he knew that would just make his mother unhappy. Besides, he also knew the other boys would make fun of the old red bicycle. In spite of his limp, Daniel had done well in practice that day, and since the other boys had learned the fundamentals of soccer a little better, the practices weren't quite as painful as the first week. A few of the boys even complimented Daniel when he made some good passes and traps. Even the coach seemed impressed. The boys rolled their bicycles together like a gang. Daniel felt good for a change and even accepted. The boys seemed more friendly than usual. They kidded him about being ranked blank, but they weren't as cruel in their teasing. They parked their bicycles in Smedlow's garage. Daniel won't be ranked blank for long, Barry said and winked. How do you know? Daniel asked. He was suddenly more interested than he wanted to admit. Well, I don't know all the details yet, but Mrs. Happy said that the time was right for a change, Barry said. She said that you can get on the big board and get a real rank any day now. All you have to do is go see her and find out how it's done. I wondered, Daniel said. He hadn't been in the toy store since the day the big board arrived. Inviting you to be a member of the Cobra Club has been a big help for all of us, Barry said. Mrs. Happy told me that we all get credit on our scores for helping you out. I saw it right there on the point breakdown sheet. It was under a friend, plus and minus category. You were credit on the plus side. They want to corrupt him. Bad company corrupts good morals, Daniel. Be careful. Really? Daniel asked. He had wondered why the guys in the Cobra Club had been so nice to him that day. Suddenly it made more sense. They knew that they were getting points on the big board for being nice. But somehow that didn't make Daniel feel as accepted as before. He wished he could get a close look at the point breakdown sheet. I noticed an odd thing too, Barry said. The president of the Cobra Club frowned. Long ass video, huh? Tell me. Oh, no. 4 more pages. Holy crap. The point breakdown sheet mentioned that you were on level 2. Mrs. Happy said that since you owned a Goliath Super Wings bike that you qualified for level 2. I'm not quite sure what all this meant, but I think it's supposed to be good. She said that you were the only level 2 person in town. Is that so great, then how come he's ranked blank? Alvin demanded, and looked at Daniel suspiciously. She said that Daniel could get a rank number easy if he'd play by the rules of the point system, Barry replied. She said that you knew what the problem was. I wanted to see your point breakdown, but she wouldn't let me. Barry looked at Daniel. All the other boys were staring at him, too. Daniel smiled nervously and looked down. Anyway, she wants you to stop by and see her, Barry said. She said it's real important for your future standing in this town. The boys then began talking about the Superstar team and their chances for winning. Daniel was only half listening. The news that he might be able to get rid of his rank blank position had touched a delicate a desire deep inside the boy. As much as he hated the thought, he knew he would have to go back to the toy store and face the big board again. If the point system was the only game in town, he wondered if it was time for him to play. No, 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 don't do it. That evening, Denise came home with a point breakdown sheet. Daniel wanted to look at it, but Denise wouldn't let him. Instead, she took it straight to her mother. Mrs. Bailey had known in advance about the point breakdowns and had decided she would pay for a printout once a week for both children. The company will pay for the point breakdown for each worker at the factory, she said as she put a casserole on the kitchen table. But our big board isn't installed yet. I wish I could get a point breakdown more often than just once a week, Denise said. She frowned down at the paper. She had been studying the columns of words and numbers and point totals for over an hour. Daniel sat down at the table and peeked at her sheet. He was surprised at what he read. He didn't blame Denise for being secretive. The big board was very efficient in breaking down a person into categories and then breaking down the categories into specific items. For example, the first category on the point breakdown was all important. The all important appearance. Getting a good score in appearance was absolutely essential if you wanted to be in the top ranks in the point system. The point breakdown sheet divided a person's appearance into several separate items. Face was the first item listed under appearance. In her face listing were other items like smile rating, teeth, lips, chin, eyes, eye color, ears, skin complexion, makeup, wrinkles, dimples, nose, hair, hair color, hair length, hairstyle, and on it went. But face was only one category under appearance. There was also the categories of height and weight and proportion, almost like a doctor's chart. Many children were quite concerned about the fatness factor under the weight category. A bad score in that department could be devastating on your overall rank in the big board. Clothing was another listing under appearance. Not only included shoes, pants, and shirts, but also things like style. Denise, like many boys and girls, was especially concerned about the style listing and the point system for name brand items. Many children had compared their point breakdown listings that day, and they soon discovered which clothes and shoes were the most points, earned the most points on the big board. Everyone wanted their parents to buy those exact items. Denise was trying to show her mother the necessity of getting a new pair of shoes. All the kids are wearing their 10-toe shoes, Mom, Denise said to her mother. Those shoes cost twice as much as the ones you have now, Mrs. Bailey said, and your shoes still have a lot of wear left in them. I just don't think we have the money for these days. There are enough problems going on in the world without us having to buy you new shoes when they just bought new shoes 3 weeks ago. That's not the point, Mom, Denise said. 10-toe shoes are the best thing. They cost a lot, but they're worth it. Carla Roberts got a new pair this afternoon and got all kinds of points for it. She improved 2 whole ranks in less than a half an hour. She showed me her point breakdown before the shoes and after. I don't even think she looks all that cute in them, but I would look great. I tried some on. The woman who sold shoes said she thought I could improve at least 3 maybe 4 ranks if I had a new pair. Come on, Mommy, buy me a pair of shoes. Buy me new shorts. Buy me a new hairband. Well, maybe Mrs. Bailey said, but we'll have to wait until the end of the month when I get my paycheck. Couldn't we get them sooner, Denise whined. Couldn't we get them sooner? I really want some. I'll just die if other kids on my team all get them, and I'm the only one left out. I could even get knocked out of the top 100. You wouldn't want that to happen, would you? Well, I'll think about it, Mrs. Bailey said, but I'm not making any promises. I still think your other shoes are perfectly good, sensible shoes. They've gotten stained and I can't clean them, Denise said. It's one of those lower ratings on my point system, see? Denise showed the printout sheet under her mother's nose. Shoved the printout sheet under her mother's nose. Mrs. Bailey looked at the chart carefully. She nodded as she read the various items. You scored a lot of points on her hairstyle, Mrs. Bailey mused. I knew that new cut was going to look better on you. Yeah, but look at the shoes part, Denise said. See, I'm going downhill by the day with those old shoes of mine. Well, I told you I would think about it, Mrs. Bailey said. Then she looked at Daniel. How are you doing? You mean in general or on the point system? Daniel asked. Is there a difference? His mother replied. She had a tired, almost disgusted look in her eyes. Her look made Daniel feel awful inside. Well, I'm trying, Daniel said, feeling defensive. In fact, I'm supposed to go by and see Mrs. Happy tomorrow. Barry said she had said I could stop being rank blank, maybe. Anything would be an improvement, Mrs. Bailey said inside. I just don't understand why it's taking you so long to fit in. Maybe I should go downtown there with you. Yeah, right. Mama, can we go down to the toy store and kiss Mrs. Happy's ass? No, Daniel blurted out. I mean, yeah, that would look terrible. Besides, if you complain, I give you rank blank forever. It's not a good idea. Not a good idea to complain. I realize that, his mother said. That's why I haven't pressed the issue. But I still don't understand why a bright boy like you isn't getting credit on the big board. It's just not right. Maybe that will change, Daniel said hopefully, looking at his mother's disappointed face cut deep into the boy. At that moment, he wished he was just a normal boy like all the others. He would have given anything to get into the point system. He was tired of being on the outside all the time. He felt like he was a disappointment to his mother and a disgrace to his family as much as he tried to shake off the poisonous bad feeling that still hung on him as he limped off to bed. Oh, thank God that's over. Okay, yeah, I talked a little too much. Okay, my fault. My bad. I wish this thing told me how long it is because I don't have any idea. There's no counter on it like if I do a normal video. But doing it live, it doesn't have a counter. All right, anybody on there other than the pouring crap asshole people out there? Yep. No kidding. I figured. I'm going to be deleted shortly. Why don't they do once instead of 50 times? Where's my dang moderators? Where's my ranch people? Gaddy Anton, you're slacking. You're a slacker, Gaddy Anton. Slacking, buddy. All right, good night. God bless everybody. Bye-bye.